Hello Nuggets. It's come to my attention that many of you don't really know how to fly, and that's okay. Some of you are new and flight games can be a different beast compared to the normal run-of-the-mill action game. So today, we're going to go over the basics of maneuvering, controls, dogfighting, and everything else you're going to need to know to become a successful ace of combat. Let's go over the controls first. For this video, I'll have a controller overlay on screen, and you can see what inputs I'm doing. I'll be explaining some basic flight dynamics in a simplified manner, and if you want a much more detailed explanation of that, the Wikipedia article linked in the description will provide that. Also, I recommend using a controller and not a flight stick. You can use a flight stick, but personally, I find it doesn't work well with Ace Combat's physics. Controllers work just fine. First off, your left stick controls pitch and roll. Pitch is pointing up or down, roll is your rotation left and right. When you push up on the left stick, the nose of the aircraft points down. Remember that. This is something you can change in your control settings, but every flight game ever will be like this by default, because that's how it works in real life. Meanwhile, roll is what you can expect. Left rolls left, and right rolls right. Next is yaw. This simply orients your aircraft left and right without affecting pitch and roll. These are bound to the left and right bumpers in Ace Combat 7, though in some older titles it's switched with the triggers. Right trigger is to throttle up, aka increase speed. Left trigger is throttle down, aka decrease speed. If you don't touch these at all, you will go at the default speed. You'll be using pitch, roll, and yaw to perform all of your maneuvers, and your speed also greatly affects how this all happens. This is the most fundamental thing you can learn. Understand how to control your aircraft. As an example of fundamental maneuvering, let's talk about turning. Roll in the direction you want to turn and pitch up. This is the most efficient way to turn. You can use yaw as well. Personally, I like using yaw when I turn. But generally, yaw is for fine-tuning your aircraft's direction, and you shouldn't worry about it too often. Now, I want to note something about simplified flight controls. You can absolutely use that if you're not comfortable with expert controls. The thing is, though, you won't be able to perform advanced dogfighting maneuvers because your aircraft will automatically level itself out. Here's an example of me dogfighting using simplified controls.
Isn't for you guys. Let's be honest here. The regulars like us aren't allowed to resupply. But in your heart, you want us to smash that base. Am I off? You're gonna wish this mission never ended. Looks like Mad Dog's finally come around. Missile launched. Don't expect this to be a straightforward air raid. Break, break!
Now here's an example using expert controls.
Hustle on your tail! Great shot. Keep it up. If only I could bring a radio to lift my spirits. Right, I'll shake him.
You can see that simplified controls work, but you will eventually run into a skill ceiling that can only be rectified by expert controls. Now let's go over some face buttons. I'm using an Xbox layout, but it translates to PlayStation the same way. A is the gun, B is to fire missiles, X is to switch between standard missiles and your special weapon, and Y is to change target and the target chase camera. We'll get into that more later. Finally, the last thing is changing your radar, aka expanding the minimap. Press select to switch between sizes. Oftentimes, you'll have new groups of enemies appearing during a mission and they'll be too far away to see on the normal radar. Next, let's go over the HUD. Up in the top left, you've got your mission timer and score count. You don't need to worry about these too often unless you're going for an S rank on a mission. Close to the center of the screen, There's your speed indicator and altimeter. Be aware of these so you don't accidentally crash into the ground at Mach 2. In the lower left corner, that's your radar. By default, it's at close range. Good for seeing when enemies are around you. The next size up shows map terrain at a larger scale, and the largest size shows the entire mission map. The bottom right corner is your most important information: ammo and damage. Here you have gun ammo, standard missiles, special weapons, flares, and damage taken. Keep an eye on these as the mission progresses. Notice the missile icons next to the aircraft image. These are your reload indicators. The image fills up as the weapon reloads, so you'll know when it's going to be available again. The first thing you'll likely do in a mission is throttle up. After all, you've got the need for speed, don't ya? Targets are highlighted in green, usually squares. Targets will be automatically selected, but you can cycle through available targets by pressing Y. Priority will be given to whatever target is in front of you, though if there are multiple close together, it will just cycle through. Speaking of pressing the Y button, an additional mechanic that this button performs, which is going to be very important for dogfighting, is when you hold down the Y button, the camera will lock onto your current target. Keep that in mind for when you start to lose track of whatever's happening. Now, what you'll generally want to do with air targets is to get under 6 o'clock. And if you've somehow never seen an analog clock before, that means get behind them. If the target is actively selected, you will automatically lock on with your missiles. Though make sure you have either standard missiles or appropriate air-to-air special missiles selected. The target will change to a red outline once locked on, and then you can fire. Now this brings me to missile mechanics. Missiles have their own flight dynamics, meaning they go a certain speed and have a certain capacity to turn on their own. This is why you should ideally be behind your target. That's less work for the missile to do, and it's less likely to miss. You don't want to fire all of your missiles from the side of your target, because the missile will miss. Also, if you happen to get close enough to the target for the gun reticle to appear, it could be a good idea to use the gun. Technically, the gun has a longer range than the reticle implies, but it takes skill and experience to nail long-range gun attacks. So, you've shot down a bandit. Nice. But now you're hearing this really annoying beeping sound and some lady is complaining at you. An enemy has fired a missile upon you. If you look at the map, there will be a thin line approaching you. That's the enemy missile. You can pop flares by clicking in both sticks, but you should ideally reserve that for when you're in real trouble. In most cases, you can maneuver out of the missile's way and dodge it. Wait until it's almost on you, the missile alert will be going crazy, then roll in a direction that won't get you killed, throttle down hard, and pitch up all the way. What you've just done is a high G turn, a mechanic that allows you to turn very sharply. You'll be doing this a lot, so get used to it. It should be noted that not every Ace Combat has high G turns, but the logic still applies. Your turning radius is much smaller when you're slow. Remember to keep an eye on your radar. Be aware of what enemies are close to you. Use this information to determine where you need to go and what maneuvers you should do. I'm not sure how to teach situational awareness, but it's a skill you'll need to develop, especially on harder difficulties. Finally, choose an aircraft appropriate for the mission. Technically, you can do every mission with any aircraft, but that's also kind of like saying you can eat soup with a fork. Pay attention to the mission briefings and learn which aircraft does what. In modern Ace Combat, every aircraft comes with 3 special weapons. Choose an aircraft and special weapon that is appropriate to the mission, such as ground attack, or purely air-to-air, or even both. That should just about cover the basics. Don't worry if this feels overwhelming. It all comes together once you start playing. And experience is the best teacher, so go play the game. If y'all would like more in-depth explanations of Ace Combat's game mechanics, let me know, and perhaps that could be something I do in the future. Otherwise, leave a comment and I'll try to answer any questions. Thank you for watching, do the usual YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.